When you get up in front of an audience, you want to project your voice. The voice is all you have. It's really the only way you have to connect with people. But the challenge is getting that connection to happen, getting that voice to happen. And I struggled with this for a long time, for how to learn how to project my voice. I went down a lot of different bad alleys. Maybe you've done the same sort of thing yourself. Maybe you've tried different things and thought, just not working. I don't know why. Just somehow it just doesn't go where I want it to. And that's a challenge, a big challenge. And maybe you got a lot of different advice. I know certainly I got a lot of advice over the years about how to build up my voice. Favorite one I remember was, throw your voice to the wall. Direct your voice at the wall. And I kept thinking, how do I throw my voice to the wall? How does that even work? How do you do that? And I didn't know. To this day, I still don't know. And yet people still give it as advice. And you've probably heard other things too. And as you start doing those things, maybe you get, like me, a little frustrated, a little annoyed. Maybe you start thinking, maybe there's no good way to do this. Just some people have this voice and other people don't. And I don't know why, but maybe I don't have it. Maybe it's not in me. Maybe it's not part of me. Maybe it's just not going to work out. And I used to feel the same way. There's no way to learn how to project my voice. No way to learn how to get better. It got very frustrating. So I let it go. Tried to convince myself this wasn't a big deal. Thought, well, I just don't have that sort of voice. It's just not a big deal for me. It's not something to think about. It's not going to be that way. I'm just not going to be one of those persons with a voice that projects. Some people have it and other people don't. That's just the way it is. Maybe you've convinced yourself that too, that it's just the way it is. You don't have that ability. It's not in you. You thought, yeah, just frustrating, but I'm going to have to let it go. I'd like to have a good voice, but not happening. And then finally, for many years, I learned what I needed to know. I learned it from many different sources. But there are three key things that I learned that are very important for your voice. I learned from three different places. Some speaker places and some other places, but it all came together. And once I started doing these things, my voice got stronger, more resonant, and importantly, if my voice was a little bit under a cloud that day, I could get it back because I knew what to do, and why to do it, and why it worked. And from that day, my voice has been, well, not the greatest, but at least more resonant, more full, more projecting than it ever has been. And you too can learn these simple things to do. They take a little bit of effort, a little time, but once you start doing them, you'll have that stronger, fuller voice you wanted, and you'll be able to recover. In times when your voice doesn't seem to be there, you'll find that actually it's there, it's just hidden away. It needs a little encouragement in order to come out. You want to project your voice, and so you start pushing it, forcing it, shoving it, trying to get that voice to come out the way you want it to go. You're trying to push it out there. So you think, maybe if I just really strained hard and just really yelled, you start talking really loudly and firmly like this, and you notice your audience is doing this, you start thinking, that's not going to work. Yelling at my audience is not going to give me a more powerful voice. It'll just really annoy people. Because, of course, it's not yelling you're after. You don't need to yell to project your voice. In fact, you know you're not projecting your voice if you're just yelling. Yelling, interestingly enough, makes your voice worse. The challenge is what to do with your voice and how to make it project, how to make it work, how to make it come out, how to get it out of you. You have a voice in you, but you want to get it out somehow. And so the temptation, of course, is to try different voice things, like yelling or whispering. Hey, if you whisper, that'll solve everything. But of course, whispering doesn't help at all, nor does yelling, nor does not speaking. That's not a solution. And you try different things, and they don't work. And if you've been there, you try different things in the voice, you know that there's a huge difficulty because they just don't work. Even if you do the right thing, absolute right thing, which I'll get to later, to project your voice, it still won't work if you're missing this one thing. Interestingly enough, this one thing doesn't really start with your voice, because your voice is connected with your body. So the voice is important, but the voice comes through your body. So it makes sense that if you're going to improve your voice, maybe there's something you need to do with your body. Maybe you need to approach your body differently. Maybe you need to do something you've been avoiding or you're just not that interested in. Because in really order to get your voice, the first step in getting your voice going is strengthen your body, especially your abdomen, your core, some people call it. Strengthen that. Because once that's stronger, once that's fuller, you'll naturally have a stronger voice. Or the potential for a stronger voice. I'll get into that in a little bit. But you have to have the diaphragm muscles in order to make anything work. And that means you're going to need to exercise. And maybe you're thinking, oh man, I don't want to exercise. Maybe you're thinking, yahoo, I can exercise. Well, if you're looking for an excuse to exercise, this is as good a one as any. It will help you in the long run get better at your voice. You still need to do something else. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but you gotta start with exercise. So do some sit-ups. Do 20 sit-ups. Maybe you're thinking, 20? Or maybe you're thinking, only 20? Do as many sit-ups as you feel comfortable doing and won't kill yourself in the process. But sit-ups are great. Also leg lifts. Anything is going to strengthen your diaphragm, going to strengthen your stomach area. Those muscles are key if you're going to project your voice. If they're flabby, if they're not strong, doesn't matter how big you are, if you have flabby muscles in your gut, not going to work. So do some sit-ups, do some leg lifts, and get those muscles going. Coordinated. Just get them strong, get them powerful, and you can tell. Start pushing on your gut. Push against your gut. Then it goes in like Pillsbury Doughboy. You got a few more sit-ups and leg lifts to do. You keep on exercising, working on it, developing your core, you're ready for the next step. Okay, now you've been doing sit-ups. Back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And just, maybe you did 20 reps, maybe you did 40. Heck, maybe you did 100. Or maybe you're like really super fit right now and you're saying, Tim, hey, I'm super fit. Why is my voice working? Why isn't everything just kind of falling into place? And that can be frustrating too. Because just because you have a strong body does not mean you have a strong voice. In fact, if you think about it, you've probably seen big, strong guys, just real strapping hulks of men. They talk like this all the time. And maybe it's just because they're saving their voice. But sometimes it's because they don't know what to do with their voice. They're big, strong, strapping guys. They talk like this. Now, it doesn't mean you should make fun of them. But it does mean that just building up your muscles in the gut, or just building your muscles in your body, is not necessarily going to help you project your voice unless you do something else. And that's the challenge. You think, okay, I've been doing the sit-ups, I've been doing the leg lifts. Great. Now I got a stronger body, which is nice to be hulking out, but I still talk like this. What do I do? It all has to do with what you do with air. Maybe you're thinking, Tim, like, of course it's air. I know the voice has to do with air. What do you do with air? Wait a minute. Think about that a little bit. Your voice is entirely dependent upon you pushing air out of your throat over your vocal cords. Now you see why I mentioned the importance of you having to do sit-ups and leg lifts, because you want to make sure that when you push, you have something to push that air with. So you have a strong gut to be able to push that air out. Definitely. But how does the air work? And what makes the air, when you push it out, turn into a voice, not into a whisper? What's different between a voice and a whisper? Why is a whisper a whisper? Why is a voice a voice? That's the real issue, right? That's the whole thing. Well, as mentioned, the key is air. All about the air. But the key about air is how you breathe it in. How you breathe it out is great, but if you don't breathe it in the right way, you're not going to get that result. So here's the secret about breathing in air if you want to project a strong voice. Think of your lungs as being like a bottle that you're going to fill up with water. So if you think about it, if your lungs are a bottle you'd fill up with water, but when you pour water into a bottle, it fills up from the bottom, right? Fills from the bottom and slowly it rises to the top. So when you breathe in the air down into your gut, your diaphragm, that area you've been building. So that area should expand, and then as you breathe in, your whole chest rises. So your chest does, looking at the side view like this, and then it kind of rises all the way up. And the air starts down here, and then as it rises up, your chest naturally expands. So you breathe low and then kind of up like that. And as you think about breathing air in that way, low, then more, all the way up, filling all your chest with air. And then when you speak, you push on the diaphragm to push out that air. When you do that, you're pushing a strong current of air over your vocal cords, and that makes them vibrate, that makes them work, that makes a resonant voice. And there you have it. You start with exercises. Strong exercise, develop your core, your gut, your stomach. Develop that strong, powerful stomach so you can push out that air when you need to. Once you have that strong stomach, that strong gut from doing leg lifts or sit-ups, whatever it is, back and forth, developing that core, then when you breathe in, fill up from the bottom. You're filling up from the bottom, filling up to the top, just like a bottle filling up with water. Breathing the air down low, breathe it all the way up into your lungs, and push to support it, and out comes a strong, powerful voice. And that's it. Until some days, when the voice, for some reason, goes away, and all of a sudden you're talking like this again, and you don't know why. It's scary. So you're a speaker, and all of a sudden you go from speaking like this, You may try clearing your throat. Maybe you've done that. Your voice goes away, you clear your throat. Hope that that'll solve problems. Usually doesn't. Sometimes it even makes things worse. And so you start talking a little bit of rasp. But for whatever reason, your voice goes away. It's just not the same. You lose that resonance. So you're panicking. You're thinking, oh man, I got to go out there speaking, and I'm speaking like this in front of people. It's just not going to sound good. It's not as resonant. I did my sit-ups. I'm breathing from where I'm supposed to breathing. What's wrong? Well, what's wrong is your air simply isn't going where it should, for whatever reason. Who knows? But if you can't reset it, you're going to keep speaking like this. Kind of like the Godfather. Sort of powerful, and yet with a kind of weird, airy voice. Not what you want to do. So when that happens, you just let it go. Many people do. But what if there are a way to get past that? What if there are a way, when you find yourself having lost that powerful voice, to get it back quickly, simply, easily, by doing something that you do naturally? It's just you'll be focusing on doing it, and so it'll actually help bring your voice back. You might wonder, Tim, what is that? It's singing. Specifically, you can do humming and then singing. Maybe you're thinking, Tim, it's ridiculous. Why would singing help bring the voice back? Because speaking and singing, good, strong voice, good, strong singing, are the same thing. The sound goes over the vocal cords, or strong support. And when you're singing, you naturally project your voice. So just starting some singing can help your voice click back into where it should be. And I mentioned humming because when you're humming, you have resistance to that voice coming out. And the great thing about resistance is, of course, if there's resistance, you push against resistance. So if you're humming, you're strongly supporting your voice to push your make your vocal cords vibrate even though your mouth is closed. So you go, You notice that strong voice comes out because you're pushing on that voice. That strong push is happening because your mouth is literally blocking the airflow, which means you have to really push to make sure that your throat vibrates. So humming, and then once you hum, you can go into then opening your mouth. So, It doesn't matter if you have a good voice or a bad voice or any type of voice, just doing something like that, humming, then singing immediately afterwards, or can really help project the voice and clear up any vocal issues you have. If you're speaking, you better have a good voice, or at least a resonant voice. Something's going to carry over, something's going to vibrate, so people are going to remember and think, oh yeah, okay, that's a voice. Really important to do that. And the way to do that starts with exercise. So important to develop your gut, your core. Sit-ups are good for that. Leg lifts are good for that. Exercise and really, really develop, etc. Not just a couple sit-ups. Do 20 sit-ups, do 10 sit-ups, 15 sit-ups. Start with as many sit-ups as you can do, and then do one more, and one more, and one more. So if you can do 5 sit-ups, great, do 5. And then once you've handled doing 5, do 6. Handle doing 6, do 7. Handle doing 7, do 8. Keep pushing yourself up. Try to do 20, 15, 10. The whole point is to build up your gut. You don't build up your gut, you're not going to be able to project your voice. But it doesn't stop with your gut, because your voice, of course, comes from your air. So you have to breathe in properly. That means, think of your lungs as like a bottle where the water flows in the top, lands in the bottom, and just kind of fills up from there. In the same way, breathe in low, and let the air naturally fill up to the top. Then, when you breathe out, you push from the bottom up. So, same sort of way. Just like the water goes into the bottle from the bottom. Now imagine there's a plunger in the bottom pushing that water out. That's the way you push with the diaphragm on the air to get it out of your lungs. So, air goes in, air comes out. That will give you a strong, powerful voice. But what do you do if your strong, powerful voice goes on vacation for whatever reason? Well, if that happens, all you need to do is sing. Or specifically, humming and singing. Because when you hum, there's resistance in your mouth. That forces you to push in your diaphragm to get the voice out. Ma, 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 ma. See? It can happen. Your voice can drop out like that, but ma, 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 ma. Just do a little bit of humming and singing, and things start going back to normal. It's like a little reset switch. Now don't burn yourself out. Don't try to scream or yell or shout. That really hurts your vocal cords, and maybe you heard that before. But supporting your voice, letting your voice go out, that's great. In fact, that's good for your vocal cords to let that happen. And that'll make everything work. And once you start doing this, once you start using your vocal cords and pushing out your voice, and you get that strong, resonant voice you wanted, you can just feel it kind of vibrating in you. You feel the voice vibrating in your nose, vibrating in your sinuses, vibrating in your head. That's the strong voice you want. Your head just kind of vibrates with it. Then you know you're projecting. Then you know you sound confident. You sound certain. You're aware of yourself. You sound good. You sound like a speaker knows what they're doing. And once you get that sort of feeling, you get all sorts of confidence up there in front of people. You start thinking, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know it because my voice tells me I know what I'm doing. It's a good, strong, confident voice, certain of itself. And you just feel good. You feel more confident, more aware. When you get up in front of people, you can just have a nice back and forth conversation. No pressure, no deal, no issues, because you're certain of yourself, you're sure of yourself. And if you have any questions or doubts, you go back and forth in your mind, your voice never gives it away. Because your voice is strong and certain. People hear that voice and they say, wow, that speaker knows what they're talking about. They sound like it could be like some sort of broadcast announcer. Got a good, strong, powerful voice. I'd better pay attention to this person. And that's what you want, of course. You want your voice to broadcast your confidence, your awareness. Because as a speaker, you are your voice.